Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Folks, the holidays are coming, which means you got to be in 4 different places now instead of 2. Family coming, maybe you're traveling, you got all kinds of things to do. Let us help you. If you go to simplydoneconcierge.com, tell the team what you need done, it will be done, and it will make your holidays even more relaxing. Hi, everybody. My name's Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns. We have 33 chapters meeting every week, almost 600 members. Our goal is to help each other grow their business. And our local small business success story this week is Wendy Zaccagnini with Zucchini Inc. We're going to get to the name. It's a great story. Wendy is in 919 Networking Group. They meet Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. at the U.S. Health Advisor's office on US 70 in Clayton. She is a printer and designer in that chapter, does wonderful work. Wendy, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. Love the weather. Just talking to a friend on the way over here. Fall is my favorite season. It's college football. It's Thanksgiving and Christmas, which means family gatherings, and the fewer times I have to cut my grass.
Yes, it's nice when I don't have to cut the grass.
So
I
these
do
50,
like it above freezing though.
yes, I do too, but these down to 40, then back up to 70 for a week. My grass is thinking like, oh, I need to grow. I'm like, no, you don't. You need to stop. I want to cut you one more time before Thanksgiving and not chat again until March.
Right?
We'll
Just
see.
stay. Just
We'll
stay.
see. We'll see how that goes. So, all right, couple things. Love the company name. Now, you married into Zaganini.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your maiden name was what?
Pelchat.
Easier. People still butchered that, didn't they?
They did. It's a weird sorry, it's a weird French name. And it's spelled exactly like it sounds. Pelchat. I get Pelchit a lot. And
Jesus.
small children have a hard time with it. And it was Pel not good word.
Yep.
And so my parents were always Mr. and Mrs. P.
Ah, very good. Okay. And Zaganini comes from where?
It's an Italian name. It's Zaccagnini.
There you go. Does that mean your husband brought some cooking skills to the marriage with that
Not even a little.
heritage? Okay. Right.
Not even a little.
Okay. Right. So you decided that it would be easier not to use your last name as the name of your company. So how did I'm assuming it's easy to figure out how Zaganini goes to zucchini, but how did all this get started?
A little bit of a couple things. I guess when he was in school, he used zucchini in something for like a project, and it's like some sort of instead of using his last name, same thing, zucchini instead of Zaccanini. And then I got called zucchini a lot when people couldn't pronounce my name. I remember when I worked retail and the UPS guys would come in, they wouldn't even put Zaccanini, they would put zucchini. And I had to call one day to find a lost package. And I'm like, hey, I can't find this. And they're like, yeah, Wendy Zucchini signed for this. I'm like, oh, that was me. Thank you. I'm gonna go find that. So yeah, no, it's been around for a while.
Now, did they butcher the name more spelling it or saying it?
It's usually only a couple ways when you can't say it. They either overpronounce the G, like Zagcagnini, like Siri. That's how Siri does it. Zagcagnini. Um, or they just don't know what to do with it. They will
Yeah.
just stop. Like I and it's Wendy, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm here.
I
Like
mean,
I know who you're trying to call. Like,
and what is the official pronunciation of the last name?
I mean, like the Americanized at least version is Zaccanini, like Zach,
Zach.
Nini.
Okay. And what is it like? What is it? How's it said in the homeland?
I'm assuming they kind of give the G like Zaccagnini,
There
give
you
something
go.
weird a little bit.
All right.
I have absolutely no idea. I've never been to the homeland. I've never been out this side of the United States.
All right. We'll put that on your bucket list. Go
It's
back and,
it's yeah, one of these days when when we blow up, when I've got like 16 employees and I can
yep.
disappear for a couple weeks.
All
Yeah,
right.
we're traveling the world.
It would be interesting to find out how many Zaganinis there are in the homeland still.
Mhm. Well,
And
He has
Good.
a wine.
Oh,
You can buy a Zaccagnini wine.
oh.
They have at least they have a red and a white. And I think there's a third one that I've seen float around, but every once in a while, somebody will be like, "Hey, look what I found!" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got a bottle of that in the back." Like,
But no royalties to the family.
no, 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 no. We're way too far, way too far taken out.
Yeah, well, maybe one day after you travel to the homeland, you can start your own wine label,
There we go.
zucchini wine, and see who gets the humor and who gets it. Like, why would I drink a wine that tastes
Why
like
would
a
I drink
zucchini?
wine flavored with
Yeah,
zucchini?
yeah. You'd be
I
the
mean, I would try it. I
you
would try
would
it.
you would, but you'd be the first one doing it. So maybe you're way ahead of everybody.
There
We're
we
just
go.
not smart enough to know that yet. All right. So in January, you're coming up on 7 years with Zucchini Inc. If my math is correct.
It
Uh,
sounds about right. So it's
okay.
yeah, years and years ago when I started kind of as like a side gig,
Yep.
like when I got that piece of paper, like I get a business.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now what?
What's it worth?
Yeah.
The paper's 8 cents. Yeah.
I think it was
Uh,
30 bucks.
so when did you decide I'm going to start my own business?
Um, it's a loaded question. It literally was just like I was working full time at in Arizona as an in-house graphic designer, and it was like I can do this. I can do this on the side. I can make business cards for people, and so that's what I did. I went down. I got my little piece of paper that said I've got a business, and like that was it. Like I didn't know what to do with that. I worked full time. It was just something I was going to do on the side. I got a couple of my coworkers to get me their friends, and that was it. It kind of just sat there, and it like fizzled out. And then we moved across the country. And I'm like, well, I'll try again. Did the same thing. Got my little piece of paper, didn't know what to do with it. And then I saw my chiropractor. He's like, have you ever heard of networking?
Mm.
And I was like, what is this networking thing you speak of? And why do I have to pay to hang out with you and your friends? This is very weird. Like, but it worked. It wasn't BNI. I wasn't introduced to me till like afterwards. But it worked. Like I started this bit, I joined up, and of course my first official meeting was on Zoom because the world
Mm.
shut down. So nothing went anywhere for a while. But then it started to go somewhere and picked up. And from there, um, the company I worked for, my distance job, never wound up. I knew it wasn't going to be a very good, like, permanent full time job. So I put out, like, hey, I'm looking for another graphic design job. And somebody said to me, you need to call this guy who was in a local BNI here in Clayton. And he's, looking for help. So I call a random person that I've never met from a hole in the wall and said, somebody said you're looking for a graphic designer. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm, looking to sell my business and move to Florida.
Oh,
It was a sign shop. It was he ran a little sign shop out of his house, same as I do here. And not what I thought I was going to be doing. Like he knew the print side and he kind of self-taught graphic design. So he couldn't teach the graphic design, which I was looking for a graphic designer. So he got me to come in. And I learned I learned a whole lot in a very, very short period of time. He's like, yeah, in 3 to 6 months, you'll start taking over and it'll be fine. In 3 months, he had sold his house and was packing up and moved. And I hadn't even told my work I was quitting my job yet. And I'm like, dude. So I learned a whole lot about the sign world in a very short period of
yep.
time. And like from there, like started full time. Like I was like, I went from having a full time job and like a side gig to just doing 1099 for this full-time job part-time now and doing this full-time overnight. That was 3 years ago.
All right. You have one of those businesses that most businesses need.
Mhm.
Yet a lot of business owners refuse to outsource a number of things they should, whether it's bookkeeping, whatever. Okay. I'm going to be real tactful on this, but a lot of people design, they think, oh, we're going to do this cool graphic thing and it's going to have really neat colors and squiggly lines. And on a computer monitor, it looks awesome.
Mhm.
On a door magnet, on a car, you just can't read it.
Yeah.
Why do we think that's going to look cute on the road when absolutely nobody can read it?
So there's two different reasons for that. There's the difference between light color and printed color.
Hmm?
So there's the RGB color that your computer monitor shows, and that'll show you all those really, really bright, cool colors that you think are going to look really, really amazing. And when you print them out, they're very muted.
Yep.
And they just don't like your purples turn into blue when your reds turn to like orange, and they don't work because you can produce more colors on your screen than you can on a printer. And then when you don't realize this and you're playing with all these really, really bright colors and you think it's going to be awesome, and then it prints out and it's bad, you think, well, something's wrong. The second thing is, especially if you're making your business card's only this big.
Yep.
But when you put it on your computer screen, it's this big,
Oh, and it
right?
looks awesome.
So
Yeah.
it looks awesome. So you
Yep.
have this little tiny text on the bottom that has your contact information, and you print it out and you get it, and you can't read anything because you forgot that because it was this big on your screen, it's now this big.
Yep. I always
So
wanted people who thought they wanted, and we can get into door magnets versus wrapped vehicles in a second. But for those folks that, well, I don't really want to wrap my car, but I want to put a door magnet on my driver's side door. I want them to print out an 8.5 by 11, tape it to their door, and then keep walking back one step at a time and see after about the sixth step, you're like, okay, well, I can't read it after six steps, which is, you know,
there was one I saw yesterday. It was on the back of a truck. I think it was, I don't remember, I think it was a cleaning company, but it had this like swoosh. And then on top of that swoosh was the words, but they were so thin
oh,
that you couldn't
yeah,
read them behind this swoosh. I'm like, I have
yeah,
no idea who you are.
yeah. And for folks that have been to South Beach in Miami, beautiful color, but not on a graphic. You can't, you got to think about it as billboard.
Mm.
At 75 miles an hour on the interstate, you've got 12 seconds, 10 seconds, depending on when you see it, to look at it, process it. And oh, yeah, it's even smaller on that door magnet on the car. So even at a red light, I find
Yeah, with
myself
it's
getting,
like I tell people, I'm like, especially if you're just doing a door magnet,
yeah,
you can only put your name
yep,
and your phone number, and it is not completely obvious in your name to what you do.
yes,
3 words that explain what you do, because that's all people are going to see.
yep, yep, yeah,
Nobody's going to stop and read your magnet.
yep. So if anybody watching today has a business where they've done that or has a friend with a business, chat, think this through because it's important. You will get phone calls from proper advertising on your vehicle. We hear stories about that every week. That's not a problem. But can you read it? And while you may think it looks cool, and it may be great colors and cursive, yeah, it looks wonderful, except on a car. Do you remember your first client?
Yes, my first client was a band back in Arizona when I started doing this as a side gig. I was like, I'm gonna do graphic design, guys. And one of the girls I worked with was just like, the guys I know are putting out a new CD. So my first job, my first project was literally designing a CD package. I designed their cover,
Ooh,
the fold out that goes inside, the insert in the back. It was really cool, and I think I have the CD somewhere. Not that I think I have anywhere I can play a CD anymore.
yeah.
It was a really fun, like, it was really cool because I'd never done anything like that. And when I was after I finished that one, of course, I'm like, I'm gonna do bands. I want to do old band stuff, and I wanted to do tickets and more CDs and stuff like that. But I lived in a tiny, tiny little town, and there weren't a whole lot of bands, and even less of them had money to do cool band stuff. So that didn't pan out how I wanted.
And in your world, you have to be good at constructive or unconstructive criticism from a business owner
Mhm,
who may have zero design skills like myself.
mhm,
And we think we know what we want, but worse for you is we think we know what looks good and it doesn't.
mhm.
So I come to you. So do you like a client who comes to you with here's the guts of what here's our color for the band, here's our logo. Can you just kind of put all this together? Or do you want somebody like me going, Wendy, I got a band name and that's it. I need help. I'm gonna lean on you for how this should look.
No, I want you to give me as much information as possible from the bottom. So there's this one of the worst things you can tell a graphic designer is you have complete creative freedom. I don't know what I want, just do it. Okay. That means I don't know what you want and I can't read your mind,
Yep.
and whatever I come up with is gonna suck. So there's a analogy I use. I'm gonna tell you to go to Michael's and make me something. And that's it. Go to
Oh,
Michael's and make me something. Now, what are the chances you're gonna come out of Michael's with something I like?
Yeah, none.
No, you're gonna I'm like, I don't get an airplane and I don't like
Yeah.
orange and who uses pipe cleaners? Like, no. Like, now I'm gonna tell you to go to Michael's. I need a pencil holder. I like blue and metal and silver. Now, what are the chances you're gonna come out of Michael's with something maybe not exactly what I need,
Mhm.
but a million times closer?
Yes.
You don't have to start from scratch now. We just gotta change this. We just gotta fix this. We gotta alter that. Now we're on the same page. And I tell people all the time, just start an email and barf forth information. Give me everything you can. Tell me anything you like. Tell me things you don't like. Because if I know these things, I can stay away from the things you don't. I can lean towards the things you do.
Yeah.
But if you don't tell me anything, I'm going to make something and I'm going to come up with it. And you're going to be like, I don't like airplanes. Why did you do that?
And that was my next question is if I go to Michael's, I'm gonna pick the colors that I like and the
Hmm.
shapes I like, okay? So here's what you're not gonna see from me. I'm a proud University of Tennessee graduate. Our colors are orange and white. I
Hmm.
do not care for the Florida Gators, so I never, ever put blue and orange. They don't touch on my body. So I'm never going to bring you blue and orange. So going back to your point, if I just say, Wendy, just, hey, and you like blue and orange, I'm like, you just wasted my time. I paid for something I didn't want.
Yeah,
So,
like, and they'll get mad, but like, this isn't at all what I like. And then after the
yeah,
first round, you get a bunch of get a bunch of I like this and
yeah,
I like that. I'm like, why didn't you give me
yeah,
this to start? Like, when you tell me I don't care, and then I do something,
yeah,
and then you do. The problem is you do know what you like. The problem is you do know what you want. You just don't know how to communicate that.
yeah,
So what I try to do is find a way for you to communicate to me exactly what you want, so that I can help you without doing like 1,600 things
yeah.
and then eventually getting to where you want to go.
Yeah, because we've got to be able to give you something,
Mhm.
whether it's, it could be two colors. It doesn't matter, or the logo, or I need it to say, family owned for 27 since 1996.
Yeah.
Something, you know?
Something, anything.
Right.
Anything is better than nothing.
I like
Like I
that.
said, the three worst words you can tell to a graphic designer are complete creative freedom. Because
Yeah. That just begs 100 more questions.
yeah,
Yeah. I like that. I didn't even thought about it. That's pretty cool. Go to Michael's and make me something. Because you're right. I'm going to make you what my eye sees.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, I like this. I did that. I just did that a little while ago. It was like somebody I know too, and like somebody I've talked about this with. They're like, yeah, just I trust you. Make something. I made something, and what they sent me the next day was completely different because they knew what they wanted. They just didn't tell me that.
Yeah, because I don't know what colors I want, but I can point to 6 and tell you I really like those, but these 2 I don't like at all.
100%.
But that would have been nice for me to share with you before I told you. All right, so if I've got my info right, you went from New Hampshire to Arizona to Clayton.
Yes, sir.
That's a long haul from New Hampshire to Arizona.
It is. It's a 4-day drive.
And was that fun? Did you stop anywhere monumental?
I think the plan was to do that, and it did not happen because, well, we had a cat first of all, so we couldn't do a whole lot. We were to leave the cat in the truck, and we were early 20s,
Yep.
dumb. Never. I mean, I had literally only ever moved out of my parents' house into my first apartment. I had never moved across the country, never done anything like this. We got like a trailer. We way overloaded this trailer for what it was worth. We literally were popping tires across the entire country.
Ooh,
So they were like farm tires for trailers. And there's like three level of them. Like you can get like the one where you're just supposed to drive around your like yard, and then you have the one that like goes on the highway. Well, nobody had the ones that go on the
yeah,
highway.
yeah.
So we would stop every time we'd stop, we'd drive to the local Walmart and pick up a tire because you could. Like that's where you could do the
Wow.
local Walmart or like a Tractor Supply, which I never knew existed until I got about halfway across the country. Um and pick up a tire because we were gonna blow another tire somewhere on the road. We spent so much money on these stupid tires. And then at one point, our jack basically gave up because again, we
Yeah,
had an overloaded trailer. So we had to like dig into the trailer and get like the big jack that we used to, for like big trucks, pull the thing up. I remember we were like on the side of the road. It was like one of the last times we popped the tire. We were already tired. The jack was apparently tired because it wasn't working. It was like the middle of the night, and we're just trying to pull out the stupid. We know what we need to do. We just gotta get the stupid thing out to replace the tire. And these gentlemen stop on the side of the road. And yeah, you damn Yankees don't know how to do anything, can't take care of your stove. And like they pulled over to help, but did nothing but insult us the
Yeah.
entire time we were sitting there. And I'm like, thanks. You can leave now. We got this. Have a great night.
How many tires did you buy?
More than I want to admit. I don't even know. I was at least one a day,
Wow.
and if not more. And it took us 4 days. Oh, and the first day we literally got we literally got 8 hours. We were in Pennsylvania, and the bearings on the trailer blew,
Dang.
and we had to have the trailer towed to like some local shop with some dude smoking a stogie in the office. Like, yeah, you blew the bearings on the trailer, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have to fix that. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
we are 8 hours. We were not even like, I mean, the sun has just barely gone down. We have just started this journey to get from New
Yeah.
Hampshire to Arizona, and we have to spend the first night in a hotel waiting for them to fix the trailer. So there was that, and then we
And
were
real
replacing
quick,
tires once or twice a day
and real
the
quick,
entire time.
yeah, while you don't want to be rude to that guy, you don't need an explanation. I just want it fixed.
Just do it. Like, what? I mean, like, I don't have an option.
Yeah.
Like, you need to fix it because everything I own
Yeah.
is in this stupid trailer.
And the 5 words you just gave me, I have no idea what those are. I just want to get on the road again. So,
Do it. Please just fix it.
and the marriage survived that, huh?
Yes, somehow we are still
Okay.
married. 17, 16 years. I don't know.
Okay.
2006.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So you have one of those jobs that I don't think many people on the show have had is uh, a shift supervisor at CVS.
Hmm.
All right, so I go into CVS a couple times. That's our drugstore down the road from our house. But there's a million products in there. How do you
Hmm.
remember all that?
Oftentimes you don't, but you know what they're for. If you ask me for something, I either know what it is already because I have stocked the shelves for years and years and years, or if I have not heard of it, I go, "What's it for?" And you're going to tell me. And then sometimes it's a follow up question.
Yep.
Well, is it for this part of your body or is it for this part of your body? Because sometimes those are two different things. And well, if it's for that part of their body, it's over here, and
Yeah.
it's for that part of your body, it's over here. You don't remember every single product in the store. You remember where each product, what
Okay.
each thing is for, and where those are in the store. But then there are other products. You're like, hey, where's this? You go down aisle three, about
Yep.
half of the way down.
Mm.
It's on the third shelf up, like right there.
Yep. Yeah, I use KT tape for my back
Mhm.
sometimes.
That's
And
new. We didn't have that when I worked
yep.
at CVS.
No, no, no. Yeah. I get those dogs with that high pitched whistle. Like, what's that? Yeah, it's like, and I try to explain it's about this long. It's black tape. It's
Mhm.
probably in the pain section somewhere. And they're like, oh yeah, that's on. Was that one of those jobs that was so good it led you into another line of work?
That I hated that job. I should never have been working with the public. It should I just not. Like, that's where I met my husband though.
Mm,
So,
yep. Some good came out of that.
yeah.
Yeah. That's too good. Manchester Community College.
Okay.
Again, love first on the show. Don't recall ever having anybody from Manchester Community College. What was second choice if you hadn't gone there?
I don't think there was one. No, there was one. So, my parents were like, "You need to go to college." And I'm like, "But why? And
Yeah.
what for? I don't know what I'm going to do." And I had taken a printing course in high school. Like I literally on like a printing press in my high school. And I thought that was cool. So I'm like, "All right, well, let's do that. Let's try printing, right?" There were two colleges. There was one in, I want to say, Bethlehem or some other B town in New Hampshire that was really far away from where I lived. And they had an actual printing, like they had printing courses and you could learn how to print and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but dad, I don't want to go there because it's really, really far away. And my mom was like, well, dumbass, look, Manchester has graphic design classes. You can go there and it's only half an hour away. So that was my, Manchester was number one. And then I was going to have to go to the next one for number two to go do printing.
Mm.
So I
For
got the graphic design at the community college, which
yeah.
was probably better than just a printing.
Yeah. For those of us never been to New Hampshire, could we comprehend just how small it is?
Um, I tell people that I've only been to Vermont once, and it was for about 4 minutes because we were going the wrong way. Like you just wind up in another state. You're like, oh wait, we're in Vermont. I'm going. Okay, hold on. You know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, moving to Arizona was definitely different because there's in New Hampshire. I mean, there's everything's everywhere, and it's very until you move until you go way up into the upper part of the state, everything is there. Like if you go from this town to this town, there's stuff in between. Well, in Arizona, there's not. You're like in a city,
Yep.
and then there's nothing, and then you're in another town, and then there's nothing, and you can do this for hours. Not so much in New Hampshire.
Right. Manchester is southern New Hampshire.
Yes.
Okay.
So like I grew up in Nashua, which is right on the border of Massachusetts. And New Hampshire has no sales tax, and Massachusetts does.
Yep.
So we had malls and shopping centers in the southern part of New Hampshire and in Manchester as well. So they called Manchester Manch Vegas.
Ah, right.
I don't know why there were no casinos, but they called because you could actually. So where I lived in New Hampshire was in Nashua. Manchester was up here, but it was actually easier to get to Boston because there was a highway that would go straight down this way. So there were a lot of people who lived and worked in the Boston area, or who worked in the Boston area, who lived in the Manchester area.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now, if you met somebody from the northern part of New Hampshire, would you actually call them Yankees because you lived in southern New Hampshire?
No,
Okay.
they do have a different accent though.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so with the further south you get the more of the Boston accent. You start dropping your eyes and you say sure and for and quarter and all that kind of stuff. The more you get up, it's slightly different. Like my grandmother says my birthday's in December, but I would say like it's in December. And I don't know, you can't even tell the difference. Because you don't know. But it is, it's a different accent. Like from
Okay.
like Maine and like northern New Hampshire and northern Vermont have a different like accent, and they drop their R's differently than we do in the southern sex and like north of Boston.
I don't know that I've ever heard a Maine accent or a Vermont accent, but I don't know that I've spoken with many people from Maine or Vermont. So I'm gonna be on the lookout for that. I may go to YouTube and just type in Maine accent.
It's not as harsh as like a Boston accent.
Oh, nothing is. Yeah.
Like you Boston and New York,
Yeah.
and they're very harsh and they're very like when you get up north, they start pulling some of those letters in. The Boston's drop off
Okay.
and just start using them occasionally, so they're not as hard. But yeah, they definitely have a little bit of an accent.
So what's the most amount of snow you've ever seen at your house?
A lot. I mean, I can remember as a little kid leaving my home, and like the snow was like up to here, like walking down the sidewalk. Our last winter in New Hampshire was probably one of the worst I had ever seen that I can remember. They were canceling school or delaying school 3 times a week,
Wow.
3 weeks in a row. So they don't cancel school lightly because it snows a lot. Like you can't cancel school every time it snows because then nobody will ever go to school. So 3 times a week, 3 weeks in a row. So that's a lot.
Wow.
I lived in a 3-story apartment complex, and the bottom floor could not see out their windows. There was no parking because the snow was in the way, and they were melting snow. This was the first time I had ever seen that. They were melting snow. There was so much snow. They didn't know what to do with it. They were literally just like bulldozing it into a melter and dumping it in the river. I remember driving to work and just seeing the steam from the melter. I'm like, I have never seen this before. There is so much snow that they're melting it.
That would be cool to watch.
I mean, it was interesting to like, drive by and just like see the steam coming off the river in the
Yeah.
middle of winter while it's still snowing.
Huh. Hadn't thought about burning snow, but yeah, it makes sense.
Mm,
All right. So that's one of the reasons why you ended up in Clayton was you didn't want that much snow.
no,
Okay.
no, no,
Right.
no, no.
And you don't go visit during winter.
Nope, nope.
Okay.
I don't go anywhere near that. When I have to scrape the frost off of my windshield, I think about moving to the Bahamas. Like, there's no.
We got that last weekend. I remember I was up
Yeah.
early Saturday morning. I had to go somewhere. It's like, all right, we're here already. So yeah. Um, you were at Manchester Community College, your Associate of Arts degree. I
Mhm.
also saw where you were a class ambassador.
Yes.
Did you give
I didn't do
tours
much.
of
I
this?
think I signed up for it. I think one of the times. How did you even find that?
This is one of my favorite parts of the show is finding facts like that where people go, where yeah, exactly your answer because there's usually I get a story out of it. Yeah.
I had completely forgot about that. Yeah,
That's
so I signed up to be class ambassador, and I forget why. And the only time I can remember ever doing anything, okay, so this is the only time I can remember ever doing anything is we went to my previous high school, which my husband now was a part of. We were working together and we were becoming fast friends. And so we go to the ambassador program at the high school, and he comes in and we start talking. And then we start talking and we talk some more. And like when he finally left, the girl I was with was like, "What was that?" And I'm
Yeah,
like, "What do you mean, what was that? I just
yeah,
work with him. It's fine. It's nothing."
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we like chatted, and then that kind of probably led to other things. But we never did. No, I don't think I ever did anything else for the ambassador program other than go to my high school once
There you go.
and flirt with my boyfriend
Yeah,
or soon to be boyfriend.
yeah. I figured you probably gave campus tours for potential freshmen.
I think that's what I thought it was going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
Um, because I can't remember doing anything
yeah.
else for the ambassador program.
But it
Like,
looks good on a resume, right?
it looks good, yeah, like I check that box.
I'm sure you got a client like, wow, class ambassador. She must be a leader. Back to your friend. Um, our friends pick up when we see the person we really like, and we don't know they're standing over to our left. We don't know that anybody sees us go like that subtly. We just think like, man, I hope I can talk to them later. And our friend, that one friend, is looking the whole time. It's like busted.
Right, she was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. He's
Yeah.
just a friend. I just know him from work. It's great. It was nice to see him. That's all."
So that's a good segue into your husband, Tim, one of my favorite questions on the show here. I always ask people, so how did you and Tim meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
I think so. We worked together. We were together for a little while, and I
That
can't
doesn't
remember.
mean you tell the story the same way, but go
I
ahead.
don't. I don't think he tells the story any differently.
Okay.
Um, you want to hear the story about how we started dating? Because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
an interesting story.
That's what I want to hear. How'd you guys meet?
So he was dating this other girl that ghosted him,
In
and
high school.
in high school. So he
Okay.
was in high school, and we were working together, and we were at lunch one day, and he's like, "Yeah, she kind of like ghosted me. I don't think the term ghosted was a thing at the time, but yeah, she just kind of cut off all communication with
Yep.
me, and now she won't text me back." I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think she's your type anyway. And he's like, well, who do you think is? And of course, inside of me, I'm screaming like, hello, I'm right here. He's just like, oh, rah, rah." So one night we were chatting. Just I don't know anybody who remembers AOL and Instant Messenger. We were just
Yep.
chatting, like having a good time. And I left, and I was like, "He talked to me, no!" Because previously to that, I had realized I had a crush on him because he came into work in like just a tank top. He was like working out at school because um, they had block scheduling that year, which meant like instead of 7 classes, you have
Mm.
4, and they were like an hour and a half, and he had gym every day. So 18-year-old kid
Oh,
in the gym, an hour and a half every day, and he comes into work one day just wearing like a tank top, and I'm like, "Hi,
yeah, no kidding.
I I need a ride home. I walked. Can you give me a ride home today?" So
And
I
he's
just discovered that I
clueless.
had this huge crush on him. I was like, maybe I like you more than just like
Yeah.
as a friend. Like, I don't know, not sure what's happening here. So we sign off, and he goes on to my live journal. And I don't know if you know what a live journal is. A live journal is like the predecessor to the blogger and the
Yep.
MySpace. And it was literally just like a blog where you'd go on and people would use it as their like emo diaries and put
Mhm.
all their poems. And I very rarely posted it on there. But right before he decided to go on and check it out, I went on there. I was like, man, there's this guy at work that I really like, and he's really cute, and we really get along. And his girlfriend doesn't like him. And I never dropped his name, but it was very obvious
Yeah.
I was talking about him.
Yep.
So he found that after I'd signed off and then came into work the next day. And I think it was snowing. He was coming to buy a shovel. And I'm working, stocking the shelves, and I see Tim. And I'm like, hi, Tim, how's it going? Of course, I'm all like, hi. And he's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, after you signed off last night, I went on your live journal. And I was like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there. He goes, yeah, there is. And I go, I immediately turned around. I was like, can I
Yeah.
help you find something, sir? Like, and then we started dating.
Yep.
And yeah, we're still together.
All right. Where was the first official date?
I started at Wendy's. And then we went and saw, Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion.
Eh, 1 out of 2.
It was
He got Wendy's right. So I don't. Yeah.
it was a it was a movie. I mean, it was just the winter season in New Hampshire. We were poor. I mean,
Yep.
like
I'm with
We
you on
saw
that. Yeah, the movie
we
was what,
saw whatever was playing,
$2, right?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was probably at the Brant.
Yep.
100%. So there was the Brant, and they had the $2 movies because they would get them like a month after everybody else would.
Mhm.
So we probably went to the Brant and saw a $2 movie. It
Nice.
was probably Haunted Mansion.
Not yet. And how quick before once the lights went down, the movie started, how quick before we were holding hands?
I think we were making out before the credits
Atta
rolled.
girl. That's why you and I hang out. You bring your A game. I like
Yeah.
that, right? Sitting in the
Oh
back,
yeah, we
right?
were totally.
12 other people in the theater.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. No, we were all alone up at the front. I was like, "Hi."
Oh, nice. So you knew each other's parents.
No,
Oh, okay. Not that small of a town. Okay.
no, no. So we lived in a big town.
Well,
Nashua.
you call it a big town, but it's
Well,
cute that you
okay,
call it a big town. So go
big
ahead.
town. It's not like Raleigh big, but it was one of the bigger cities in New Hampshire. So I grew up in a city, so when we moved to like a little podunk town in
Mhm.
Arizona, I was like, why is nothing open?
Yeah.
Why can't I get whatever I want at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And everything was close by. But yeah, no, we didn't know each other. I mean, like we went to the same school, but I didn't know. I mean, I graduated with 800 kids. You know,
In your school?
yes, sir.
Wow.
Yep, 800 kids,
Was there
and
one school?
there was one senior high school. Yes,
Eh,
they
got
did.
that one right.
They yes, they did. My brother, who's 4 years younger than me, was the first graduating class with the split schools.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they finally built. I think they were starting to build a new one when I was there. Him bounced back and forth as they were like building one. And they had them over here, and then they had them over here. But he still graduated out of the same school I did. And then my little brother, 2 years later, after Tim graduated, was like the first graduating class of like the split schools. So
Now, knowing you, you and I have known each other for a little bit. We had coffee together a couple weeks ago. I love the personality, love the energy. Is there any chance you at your wedding, you and Tim wrote your own vows? Because I bet yours would have been classic.
I didn't. I don't think I knew you could do that.
Yeah.
We had a very simple wedding. We got married at the church, probably because my mom would have taken me out back and shot me if I didn't get married at the church.
Yep.
Um, but it was just like, plus at the time, I was just wanted to get it over with because like
Yeah.
getting married is hard and it's terrible, and I was ready to elope. I was
Yeah.
like, can we just get this over with? We didn't. I was never when I first of all when I let everybody know I was getting married. It was like I thought you were never getting married. I was like, yeah, I know I said that. But it wound up we made like a financial decision that we needed to get married so we could move on with our lives.
And how old were you at this point?
When we so he was finishing his last semester in college, I think. So he would have been 20 and I was 21. So
Mm,
by the time we got married, he had just turned 21 and I was about to turn 22,
all right.
23.
Well, when your friend said, I didn't think you were ever getting married, I figured your natural response would be, have you seen him in a tank top?
No, because it was I always said I was like, I'm never getting married. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm never getting married. I'm never having kids. I don't want any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and here I am.
I know. Yeah. But you're not in the snow. So that's good.
No, I'm not in. Still on that. Like, there's
Yeah.
no. I'm not doing that again.
And you two have one daughter. Love the way you talk about her. She is more of who does she get? What gene pool does she get from each of you?
It's a mix. We're both weird, and she's a very weird kid. Um, she gets a lot of her humor from her father. And they enjoy a lot of the same things. From me, I think she gets like a little bit of her cynicism and her like stubbornness.
Okay. Not a
So
surprise. But it
yeah.
comes in handy sometimes, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so.
But she loves the dressing up and costumes and owning everything she is, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
She never makes an excuse for who she is or what she does
Good.
every day.
I like that. Family of nerds, right?
Oh, 100%. We
Yeah.
love going to like all the nerdy things and the Comic Cons and the anime cons, and it's
Good.
fun. It's fun when we all like it. I can't imagine like
Yeah.
one of us not liking it and like two of us dragging the third person to like a Comic Con. We're like, look at all this
Yeah.
stuff,
One of you wants to go to Comic Con, the other wants to watch the NFL ticket all day Sunday. Like,
right?
I'm not doing that. All right, so let's help some people out here.
Okay.
Business owners, what do they really need their logo on if it's a relatively new business?
I, a little while ago, I would have told you everybody needed a business card.
Okay.
And I'm still kind of in this boat, but
Yeah.
somebody kind of made me realize that it depends on what you're doing. If you are in a networking scene and you ever need to show up and hand out a bunch of business cards, you need business cards. So I had a guy like, oh, I don't need them. And I'm like, I know, but I'm not going to call you when I get home. I'm not going to remember I talked to
Mhm.
you. If I have your card in my pocket and I create that connection between who you are and what your business card looks like, then I'm going to remember to call you when I get home and follow up. But if you don't give me that business card when I get home, I'm going to forget I even talked
Yep.
to you. So having, if you're in any kind of networking or ever need to hand out your card to anybody who you're going to hope is maybe going to call you later, you need your business cards. Um, Other than that, everything is very per business. What are you doing? What
Yeah.
do you need to do here and there? And not everybody needs a sign. Not everybody needs flyers. Not everybody needs a rack card. But some people need all of those things. So it all depends on what you're doing and where you're going. Are you going to trade shows? Are you just doing networking? Do you need something out in front of your business? Or do you work at your office and you don't need that? It's very, very specific to each business.
Yeah. What are a couple things I need on my website to make people at least stop and look at it?
Hmm. I am not a digital person, but it needs to look good.
Yep.
Like, and mine does not, so don't go to my website.
Well, here's one of the things that, and you don't do this, so I can bring this up, but there are a number of people in BNI and outside of BNI that I meet that tout they are local, and I love that because BNI's taught me to shop local. I want
Mhm.
your cell phone number. I don't want to call an 800 number.
Yeah.
I don't. I want there's certain people's cell numbers you should have, right? So these people stand up all the time and like we're local, we're family owned for 22 years, and my wife and I and our oldest they tell us all that, which is a great story. They do wonderful work, but then you go on their website and there's no mention of local. And I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, that's what people are buying because that's what you're telling us. And I go on your website and under the about section, you have a picture with a brief description of how you got where you are, which is really good. But others don't even have that. So how do I know you're local if I never met
Mm.
you?
And having a local number.
Yes.
I tell this especially to realtors because a lot of realty companies can like just spread out, out, out.
Mhm.
If I drive by a house and there's a sign in front of it and it's got a 928 number,
Yeah.
543 number, anything other than like 919,
Yeah.
I'm not going to call this number because I don't know that you're not local. Now it's 2023. My personal cell phone is still New Hampshire, but I have a local number.
Yep.
You know, um, and you can get those really easy. So, and everybody's a transplant. There's nobody. I don't. I've met very few people who are
Yeah.
out here who have lived out here their whole lives. But if you don't have a local number, I'm going to assume, even in 2023, where everybody and their uncle is a transplant, that you're not local.
Yep. I'm
So
with you.
if
And
you,
I've got a Daytona Beach area code
yeah,
because I've had since 1999, but I didn't need to change it. I don't have a storefront.
yeah,
But I understand if you've got a storefront, it would be good local because you may draw the conclusion that, "Oh, that's probably their call center in Provo, Utah, and I don't wanna talk to some guy named Mike in Provo, Utah, doesn't care about my business. I need to
hmm,
talk to Wendy." So
yeah. So and there's some business you can get away with it, like you said, but like as realtors especially, like you got to have a local number because
yeah,
there are so many realtors right now that if you don't have a local number, I'm going to call the guy with a local number
yeah.
because I know he's going to be local.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If somebody's not happy with work they've gotten, or if, God forbid, they go to a printer or a designer that's not you, what's a
Yes.
good question we need to ask to find out if you're qualified or know what the heck you're doing?
Like asking me if I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. How do I know when I first meet you that and I start talking about what I need, what do I need to hear from you that make me think, "Okay, right, I
I'm
know,"
probably going to tell you you did something wrong.
which I did, yes, that's a given, that's why I'm there to talk to you. But say it with a smile, okay?
Well, obviously you did that wrong.
You mean my stick figure, drawing of the business card I want, that
Mhm.
bothered you? You
But yeah,
thought
when you hand me your business card and you go like, like, oh yeah, it's not that good.
yeah,
I mean, I'm 100%. gonna judge it, but I don't need you to tell me it's not that good. But you know, there's gonna be like if you did it on Vistaprint, it's gonna have it's gonna first of all look like everybody else's.
Yep.
I have a smoothie place and a hairstylist that have the exact same business card because they got them off Vistaprint.
Yep.
And I can't remember the name of my stylist because I always think of the mango smoothie that I had. So
Fair.
you know, it's gonna look exactly like everybody else's. It's gonna be thin and floppy, and the
Mhm.
text is gonna be too small because
Yep.
you forgot that it's not this big.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I mean, if you just made the text a little bit bigger, we'd be all set here.
Yep. I wish that people, because we need something. And I think back to your point earlier, you hit the nail on the head with it depends on what you do,
Mhm.
but at least research what you need because people have to know you are open for business.
Yeah.
You may
When I
tell
cut
people,
people out of getting stuff they don't need all the time.
yep, good.
Like, oh, I need this, this, and that. I had a nurse, like a nurse practitioner, who wanted to get like yard signs,
Ooh,
and I'm like, why?
no,
Why do you need that? She's like, oh, so I can put them out. I'm like, sweetheart, nobody is calling anybody
no.
for as a doctor for a yard sign on the side of the road. That's not happening. No. You
And
get
if,
get the pop-up banner for when you go to the trade show.
yep.
Get the business cards to hand out. You do not need the yard signs.
And if she came to my house to check on me for something, I do not want my neighbors. There's a sign in the yard said a nurse was just here.
Yep,
Don't
and
need
she's
that.
a travel nurse. I think that
Yep.
was what it was. She
Yep.
wanted
Yep.
like a
Don't
travel
need
nurse,
it.
and I'm like, no, honey, no, 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 no.
I'll tell my neighbors if I want them to know.
Guess what, everybody? Somebody came help me change my diaper today.
Yep. All right. So we've been putting Wendy's information on the screen here. The website is zucchini.ink, not .com, not even .inc, but in the only way Wendy can show up, it is this, which is great. That is the personality. That's the brand. It is zucchini, www.zucchini.ink. So go check that out. If you're looking to start something, you need to upgrade something, get in touch with Wendy. She'll tell you what you need. That's the neat thing about having folks on the show here is we'll talk ourselves out of business because it's not the right thing. So if you're good with what you got, she'll tell you that. If you need something, she'll tell you that. Thank you for being on the show, Wendy.
Well, thank
Hope,
you for having me. Appreciate it.
yep. Hope 2023 ends well. Oh, by the way, what did you guys dress up for as Halloween?
My daughter and her friends dressed up as Barbies, like from the Barbie movie.
Okay.
My daughter was the weird Barbie, of course.
Yes. All right.
I did not dress up. I sat in a winter coat and gloves and handed out stuff in the rain.
Yeah. We did not get rain, but we didn't get many trick or treaters. I think these trunk or treat events are taking over,
Hmm.
which is a bummer because I enjoy seeing kids come up the front door who's kind of, as you can tell, it's the middle schoolers that the guys like they put like a black uh football players put under their eyes that and a hat and like
And had,
you're
yeah,
supposed to be a
a big
football
jersey.
player, really? That took you 8 seconds, dude. You don't get much candy.
I mean, but it's either that or they're out like partying. Like, I mean, give them some candy. Let them have a good time.
Yeah, yeah. I like the little kids when they come up and they just real nice trick or treat, and then they say thank you, and they just
Or
yeah.
they just don't know. Like, I remember like the first year we took Olivia trick or treating, she just kind of was like,
Yeah, just hold the bag here, fill it up, fill her up.
I'm like, she didn't know what was going on, but she liked it when people put candy in her bag.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, it's a great reward system. I just ring the doorbell and I get candy. It's a great day. So, anyways, Wendy, thanks for being on the show. And folks, go check her out at zucchini.ink if you need some help on anything to get your word out. Especially graphic designer, you're probably not as clever as you think you are. I speak from experience, So go find somebody who knows what they're doing. If you're a business owner, there's some things you should outsource, and creativity is one of them. So, anyways, Wendy, hope you guys have a good rest of the year, and we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.